And this is the reason why you need to bust through excuses. Driven Mofos, welcome back. Let's talk about busting through excuses. Now, for those of you who don't know who I am Michael Mojo, the founder of Mojo Human Performance Institute, where we focus on business, mindset, and lifestyle hacking for driven mofos. And the reason why I do these episodes is that most people waste their life, and I just don't want you to be one of them. Okay, let's talk about excuses. What I've noticed over the years is that when most people give you their excuses, so if you listen to the excuse of the reason why someone can't do something, it's normally also the reason why they need to do something. That same thing anyway. So I hear all the time where someone says to me, Michael, I can't attend your event because I don't have the money. That's the reason why they need to attend my event, because they don't have the money. If they were crushing it in life, they probably wouldn't need me. But the truth is that most people have gaps in their life, and fortunately enough, I've been able to work with billionaires and people who are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and even for them, they still have huge gaps. They know that they can achieve so much more. But what I find is that most people hold themselves back and they keep reaffirming excuses that they have without realizing that those excuses are also their reasons to do something different. So when someone says, I can't exercise and I can't go to the gym because I'm overweight, that's the reason why they need to go to the gym. When someone says, I can't do something because I can't afford it, that's the reason why they should do that thing in most cases, if it's benefiting them and helping them to move forward and progressing. And it's just most people spend their lives putting so much effort and energy and creative juices into making up excuses and bullshitting themselves and justifying their positions and keep holding themselves back. Today I had a conversation with someone who was going to do one of our courses like 5 years ago. Didn't do it, pulled out at the last minute. And then 5 years later, I'm back on the phone and having a chat with him. And I said, what's been happening? And I was a bit hesitant to get on the call because I thought this person's going to waste my time again. I've had multiple conversations with this person. They were all ready to rock and roll and do something different and to get themselves moving forward. And all they did was they bailed. They bailed at the last minute. Maybe that was my fault. Maybe I should have been better with the sale. Maybe I could have been better with holding them accountable. I'm not sure. This was like over 5 years ago. I remember them bailing and thinking, fuck, what the hell's going on? And then today when I saw them booked back in my calendar, I thought, I don't want to get on the phone. I'm going to waste my time again with this person who is going to make up excuses, justify their position, complain again, bitch and moan. Let's see what happens. So anyway, I got on the phone, had a chat to them. And they said, look, 5 years ago, I was going to do one of your courses, but at the time, money was tight. I was under heaps of pressure and stress because business wasn't working well. I apologize. And I said, okay, cool. So what's happening? Funny enough, they said, business went well for a while. Then everything fell apart and turned to shit. Then, I worked really, really hard again, but my mindset was like falling apart. I was feeling crap about myself. I was beating myself up. And then, I got myself out of all the shit again. And now here I am again. And I said, so what's happening? And they said, well, I'm about to lose my business again. I'm struggling financially. I'm beating myself up. I feel like I've just wasted, more than 5 years. I think they said like 7 years or something, because this has been a consistent pattern. And I said to him, do you find that you get the most drive when everything's really bad? And he said, yeah, of course I do. And I said, and then when everything's going well, you take your foot off of the gas and you coast and you just cruise along for a little bit? And he goes, 100%. And I said, and then everything turns to shit again. And he goes, that's the exact pattern. And I said to them, so like, what are you going to do? Like, what's going to change? Because I wasn't going to sell him something again. I was just like, what, fuck it. I don't really care. I've tried this before and you couldn't make a decision and you couldn't hold yourself accountable. I don't want to spend this time wasting with someone who's going to make excuses. Anyway, the same thing happened where I said, maybe it's time to come to one of my events. And they said, yep, so that's why I'm here. I'd love to do it, blah, blah, blah. So we do all the paperwork and then we get to doing the transaction. Oh, you know what? I just don't have the money at the moment. Everything's a struggle. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because most people just keep going through the same cycles and they don't even realize it. Most people, when everything's going well, they think that everything's okay. And then when everything turns to shit, they're in a real big hurry and a scuffle, but they can't change anything because normally they don't have time and they also don't have money. And a lot of the time they don't have the resources to do anything different. But when things go well, they put the blinkers over their eyes, stick their heads back up their asses, and think that everything's going well, so they don't need to change anything. But all that happens is they just end up back in the same position again. And this is like 99% of our society, and they don't even realize it. Whether it's patterns of exercise and fitness, whether it's health cycles, whether it's relationship cycles, whether it's business cycles, most people are pretty predictable and they just keep going through the same cycles. If you ask someone and you say, can you tell me about your past? They will tell you a whole bunch of their cycles What will happen is if you were going to put money on them, I would put money on their past. They're just going to repeat it because most people are pretty predictable that they're going to repeat their past again. They're just going to keep doing the same shit. Yet, if you speak to them, they'll say, nah, I'm going to do something different. It's different this time. It's not, because unless they make big changes and they have big mental and emotional shifts, they're going to keep going through the same cycles. But most people will keep convincing themselves that it's okay. Now, the point of this podcast or this episode was that most people keep repeating the same things because they spend all their energy and their time making excuses and justifying their position, which then keeps them trapped and stuck. And when everything goes well, they forget how bad it was before. Okay, this happens all the time in our society. Like, something was bad 5 years ago. I mean, look at the political cycle, right? You go from, in this country, you go from Labor to Liberal to Liberal to Labor, and it just keeps going back and forward. Why? Because most people have short-term memories. Because most people live in a part of the brain called the amygdala, which means that most people can't forward plan, forward think. They're not the best at making long-term decisions. They will look for short-term immediate gratification and make decisions based on how they feel right now in the moment. And so because of that, it just keeps them trapped in this vicious cycle where they forget what things were like ages ago. And then they justify it. I'm sure you know someone, if you're listening to this, I'm sure you know someone who's like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Yeah, at the time, you're like, fucking hell, they're melting down, they're falling apart. Like, I'm worried about their mental health and I'm worried about them as a person. And then 5 years later, they're like, no, it was never that bad. It wasn't that big a deal. You see it with your parents when you're a kid. Like, you go through all this shit when you're a kid and you say to your parents, remember all this bad stuff happening? And they're like, oh, it was never that bad. It was fine. Like, it wasn't that bad at all. And they'll justify it because they forget how bad things were. And that's most people in the way that they live. But if you just realize that your excuses and your justifications are the reasons why you need to change. So if someone's has an excuse that's consistent and it's persistent, you know that that's the reason why they need to change. So if someone complains about money, you know that that's the reason why they need to change. Now, when it comes to changing, most people say, well, the reason why I can't do something is because I don't have the money. But that's the reason why they need to do something. If someone's got poor health and they say, well, I'd love to go to the gym, but my fitness is shit, or I'm insecure. Well, they're all the reasons why you should go to the gym, not why you should bail on the gym. So most people just bail because they think that everything's going to be better before they do something different. And the truth is it'll never get better and it'll never change unless you make that commitment. The difference between those who achieve great things and those who don't isn't the fear, the worry, and the concern. It's the decision-making process. They just make better decisions. And so when they're scared and afraid, they'll put their foot on the gas and not take their foot off. For a lot of high achievers and people that achieve great things, whether it's great family, whether it's great fitness, whether it's great health, whether it's a great business, what you'll find is normally they have something that most other people don't, and that's courage. They have the courage that when they're scared, they go for it anyway. That when they're scared, they put their foot on the gas, not back off. When they're scared or afraid, they do something different because they're courageous, not because they don't have the fear or not because everything's perfect. It's just a different decision-making strategy, and it's just a different way of thinking. Two really big things that separate most high achievers from everybody else is number one, it's courage, and number two, it's hunger. And maybe number three, it's clarity. So if they have clarity of direction and where they're going and what they want to achieve, and they have a lot of courage and they have hunger, they'll get there. They'll crush it. Whereas most other people lack the hunger, they don't have the courage, and so they just keep doing what they've always done, expecting that something's going to change one day miraculously. And then when things start getting better, they think that everything's okay, and then they just end up back in the same position again. And then, it's just a vicious cycle that most people have. So it's courage, it's hunger, and also it's clarity. So anyway, I hope that helps Driven Mofos. I just wanted to talk about this because it was something that I wrote a Twitter about the other day. And I thought, it's probably a cool topic to share, something I love talking about. Anyway, I hope it helps Driven Mofos. Please jump across to my socials. If you haven't been checking it out, I've been posting a heap of stuff on there. So it's Michael Mojo 00 on all my social media platforms. Also, jump across to YouTube as well. I'm about to dump a whole bunch of training programs and things like that on there. So jump across to the YouTube channel. Just type in Michael Mojo in YouTube, or Michael Mojo 00 is the thread in YouTube, and it'll come up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. You can watch me on the video if you're listening to this on a podcast app. So jump across and make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube, because I am about to drop some sales trainings and a whole bunch of other stuff on the YouTube channel that's free. So please jump across there and hit that up. Also, if you haven't joined our Driven Mofo Facebook group, all you need to do is go to the Facebook group, which is No BS Business Hacks for Driven Mofos. But if you go to the Facebook search bar and just type in No BS Business Hacks, it'll come up. Join that group. I've been posting in a whole bunch of stuff on there on human resources, training. I just did a sales training only a week or so ago. So I'm just dropping these super classes or master classes or short courses in there, popping in a whole bunch of different processes that you can grab and download and use in your business. And there's a lot of stuff on human behavior and human performance in there as well. So please feel free to join that. It's absolutely free. I just do it because I want to make sure that our community is one of the most successful communities in the planet. Anyway, Driven Mofos, have a great day. I hope you're enjoying these episodes, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.